Well, hello there my dudes and dudettes, so welcome to another video. Today we're doing one of my picks. I want to try something with the Mitre, so I thought I would invite you to come and join me. The Mitre has been sort of my guilty pleasure of a gun for a long time. It used to be really bad, then it got buffed in 2017, got a little bit better, and finally it got an Incarnon adapter in 2023, and it's actually a usable weapon nowadays. It's still not very popular, as can be seen by the incredibly high Riven disposition, which is not necessarily a bad thing, especially for those of us that do actually enjoy the Mitre, but for most people it's still just the gun that can run the neutralizing justice augment, which is used exclusively to pop nullifier bubbles. The Mitre, or rather the parts for the Mitre, are actually a boss drop from the X-Stat assassination mission on Ceres, which is the Lieutenant Lek Krill and Captain 4 assassination, and if you want to get one yourself you're gonna have to farm for a blueprint, blade, barrel, handle and chassis. Additionally, if you want it to be an actual damaging weapon, you're also gonna have to farm circuit into Viri to get the Incarnon adapter, which is what really makes this weapon pop off. The Mitre is a Mastery Rank 6 primary charge-based saw blade launcher that does primarily slash damage, and it does between 100 and 500 damage depending on the level of the charge, with the level of charge also affecting the crit and status chance, with crit chance going from 5 to 10% and status from 20 to 50%. So let us give it a shot and see if it's any good nowadays, shall we? I think I'll keep the evolutions. They're really good, a lot of damage, ton of projectile speed and a bunch of crit, so I think we'll keep these. I want to do an acuity setup here, so we're most likely going to be running Deadhead. Acuity should be multiplicative here, with the Deadhead and with a galvanized scope as well. Just standard acuity shenanigans, so aptitude goes in for the condition overload multiplication, and I would really like to get serration into the build as well. I want to do a little test. Now, because we're missing like a billion mods, so let's bump it down a little bit. Okay, so the damage is good. Fantastic even, actually. Let's try the Incarnon. I don't think the Incarnon is going to be particularly good because of acuity and the headshot thing, so you'll most likely just stick to the normal... Okay, never mind. Disregard my previous statement. I thought the Incarnon, like, bouncing blades weren't gonna be all that good, but yeah, they seem absolutely a-okay. I think we go all out with acceleration. I want as much fire rate as possible. Oh, that's so much better. Okay, so yeah, we lose a tiny bit of damage, but that's negligible, and it's also more than made up for with the fire rate. What about the Incarnon? Should feel much better as well, and yes it does. Let's go. There's no way the bouncing blades are getting the benefit of acuity, which is like the downside of this build, because we lose multi-shot and we're not getting acuity on the bounces. This would be the simplest way to do it, you know, just run Vital and then slap in Elementalist, like so. Let's bump it back up. Yeah, it's much better for the Incarnon, and the upfront damage of the like normal shots is better. But, like, the slash... Oh, that was 1.2 mil. That is it. And again, look at that. But yeah, it's not as good for the slashiness. Alternatively, Hunter, we can run Hunter munitions instead. And then run... Oh my god, I forgot about Vital Sense. Nobody saw that. Oh yeah, now that's damage. That is gross. Because, mind you, this is with 0 priming. Let's try the Incarnon as well. Still very good. But yeah, we need to add some priming because we get a ton of damage from condition overload on this. Harold, my boy, so we go from basically no priming to vital, magnetic, puncture, impact, heat, radiation. This is gonna be disgusting, my dudes and dudettes. 1.2, 2. That's the stuff. That's the stuff. 4.8, sheesh. And Incarnon melts as well. 5.3 mil Incarnon hit, hell yeah. Time to see if it actually works though. One thing I love about the Mitre is how fast it charges the Incarnon. It's just a handful of clean headshots and you're good to go. Plus the normal mode is very destructive as well, so it doesn't... Oh, 3.4, lovely. It doesn't... what was I going to say? It doesn't feel as... I don't... huh? Am I having a stroke? I might be. It doesn't feel as bad to not be in Incarnon mode. That's what I wanted to say. So far, the damage has been absolutely gargantuous. But I will say that I don't know, I'm not loving the gameplay so far. It feels a little bit too precise for something like the Mitre. Maybe it will grow on me. I think this is doing the opposite of growing on me. It's... yeah. I don't think this really utilizes the Incarnon Mitre too well. You know what? Screw you and your bubble. As I was saying, I don't think this utilizes the Incarnon portion of the Mitre particularly well. It's still a good setup if you like a, you know, a high damage per shot kind of thing, especially with the slash procs. Like the slash procs you get with this are absolutely disgusting, but for like a general just gameplay having fun build, I think you'd be better off dropping the acuity for multi-shot. It's also kind of difficult to just hit headshots or weak points in general because of the travel time. Even with the projectile speed, there's still noticeable travel time, plus the charge. I don't know, I don't know, it's just not tickling me in quite the right way. Most of my complaints, though, could be nullified with the right frame. Like if you run Harrow and you can condemn the enemies to pin them down, that pretty much nullifies all my complaints. This should be really good against Acolytes. It's not gonna be top-notch because we do have a lot of slash damage over time, but it should be really good. Oh, hell, that's a solid A tier. That is a solid A tier right there. By the way, S tier is reserved for straight up nonsense setups. You know, stuff like the Sun POTUS that just one-shots them. Seems like a really strong setup. It's just not my kind of thing, unfortunately. Like, if it was just me, I would take out all the, like, precision-based stuff and just use my Riven, but I don't want to do that because I want you to be able to replicate the build yourself. Let's see, maybe a different faction will feel better. Somehow, some way, even though this is a Tech Road bounty, it does feel better than the Corrupted. I have no idea how that's possible. Maybe because their weak points are kind of like all over the place? Yeah, this is not my kind of thing. It's a good build. I'm gonna say that, it's a good build, but I am not some renowned marksman. I am a cannonball. We might have to revisit this again at some point. Alrighty then, so even though this is absolutely not my kind of thing, it could be your kind of thing, so let's go over it. We have Serration for base damage, Galvanize Scope for crit chance, Galvanize Aptitude for status chance and condition overload, Vile Acceleration for a ton of fire rate, Vital Sense for crit damage, Hunter Munitions for additional slash procs from crits, Primary Acuity for weak point damage and crit chance, Rifle Elementalist for status damage and punch through, and finally Primary Deadhead as our arcane. One thing you will notice though is that we have no elemental damage on this whatsoever, and we're primarily doing slash, so in order to get a lot of damage scaling from condition overload, you're gonna need a priming pet. For me, that was Good Boy Harold with a setup that can prime cold, vital, magnetic, puncture, impact, heat and radiation. This, as you might imagine, increases your damage by an absolutely tremendous amount on primed enemies. This is a really strong setup that does a ton of damage, but I don't think it fits the Mitre, especially the Incarnon Mitre, particularly well. I really don't think the Mitre is a weapon well suited for a sharpshooter style build, especially if you have the Incarnon version with the adapter, so you sometimes have the blades bounce around as well. I think a looser, less punishing build that doesn't rely on as much accuracy would fit the Mitre a little bit better, even though it might not be quite as damaging as this. But even with that said, I would still recommend you give this setup a shot because who knows, it might very well be your thing. And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me. And I'll see you next time, bye bye.